You're listening to the Cantina Cast, your home for thought-provoking Star Wars talk. Join Adler and Jonesy in breaking down the latest news, trailers, movies, and of course, your favorite characters from a galaxy far, far away.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cantina Cast. My name is Albert Padilla, and this is a Patreon exclusive where there was enough news in the last 2 or 3 weeks now. I know I'd mentioned that I was going to just kind of start putting the news into the actual shows, but there was so much that came out here in the last 2 or 3 weeks that I felt like, okay, this is substantial enough, and I probably should get behind the microphone and camera and actually do a show just on the news. And there's some pretty big stuff in here, some stuff that I'm certainly excited about, and I'll get to all that here in a little bit. So thank you guys so much for joining, and thank you so much for your patronage. This wouldn't be possible without you, so I can't say that enough. So I do really, really appreciate all the support. And on that note, I'd like to thank a few members of our Patreon community right now, starting with the now part of the tribe members. So this is Alex, Danny, Dante, Daz, I've got a Brad feeling, Jackson, Jacob, Josh, Mike, Paisley, Reader Reborn, Riss Bayless, Sharkman Dan, and Uncle Leon. And then our Delusions of Grandeur members. Now this is Rod Racing, Rob, and Steve. Thank you guys again for signing up for Patreon and for all the support and for being here. If you guys can make the live show recording, if not, then hopefully you've tuned in either to the video or audio, depending on your tier. Do appreciate that. Also, we do have now YouTube memberships available. So if you'd like to sign up for a YouTube membership, you can sign up for that. It's $1, I think, or something. We don't have anything else on there. It's just something that we're asked to start putting out there. And so we decided to do it. And we've had 6 people that have signed up. So I want to call them out now. So Luminara Sky, Katya, Kathy, my Star Wars guys, Nikki, and Alex have all signed up for the $1 tier, if you want to call it that. It's a $1 membership here on YouTube. If you're interested in joining that on any of the YouTube channel, YouTube shows, you can go click the join button down below while you're watching that, and that'll get you to the link to sign up and all that. So thank you guys for doing that. Yeah, you get some like special icons too as well. So that's kind of cool. I want to just jump into this because, like I said, there is quite a bit to discuss. And first and foremost, I'm going to jump over here. Let me share my screen so that you can see what I am seeing. And I'm going to start with the 50th anniversary release of A New Hope, or as we called it back then, Star Wars, because it was just Star Wars. So if you guys haven't heard, this is coming out. They're calling this a once in a generation event, which is fair. I'm not going to see another 100th release or 25th release or 75th if you do that. But this is the restored version of just Star Wars. So earlier this year, if you guys remember, they were talking about how they had found, I remember, it was like some vault in London had an original copy of the Star Wars in the original Star Wars movie. And they showed that to a number of people. And there were a lot of people that were like, wow, this is really cool. Some people went so far as to say it was a totally different movie. I don't know if that's really true or not, in my opinion, because I've seen the original. I mean, a lot of us have. It's not that drastically different, although I will say there are some significant changes and definitely worth discussing. It certainly made for a lot of headlines since that original was shown and it wasn't necessarily restored. This is going to be like a 4K version that is coming out in February of 2027 to mark the 50th anniversary. So that's February 19th is when that's supposed to release. Whether or not they do like a 4K Blu-ray, HD version of this, that's to be determined. I assume they're going to try to do like a Disney Plus. So hopefully that comes out. They stream it in some way. Maybe we'll get some behind the scenes stuff, where they kind of pull the curtain back and they give us some Disney Plus special where we get to see the process that they went through in order to restore all this. I'm really excited about this, of course. I don't know that I never thought I would ever see the original again in a theater. It was just one of those things that George Lucas had put to bed. He denied it and said it would never happen. When Disney came in, I think we had talked about possibly maybe they could do this, but then we ran into this whole thing about, well, they don't really have a good negative of it. And now they do. And now it's coming. So I'm really excited. I mean, the fact that you're going to get to see this movie in the theaters as it was originally presented says a lot. Now it's going to be a limited run, so it won't be forever. They're not going to run it for multiple weeks on end. So it'll be kind of limited in who can actually see it for how long. And there's really not a whole lot of other information about this just yet. I would imagine since it's 2027, it's still going to be quite a while before we actually get to, before tickets go on sale. The other thing is the questions that I had is whether or not are they going to do the same thing with Empire and Return of the Jedi? Because if they go by the 3 years, which I hope they don't do, because that means Empire wouldn't be out till 2030 and Jedi wouldn't be out to 2033, which seems like forever to have to wait. So hopefully, maybe if this one goes really well, they'll do it for the other ones sooner, but we may have to wait so we can hit that pivotal 50th anniversary, special time. So there also, I wanted to mention that there's a couple different versions out there. If you're looking for a version to kind of watch ahead of time, there's a lot of groups that have gone through and despecialized Star Wars, particularly if you go to Harmony Despecialized. That gentleman, Peter, has done an incredible job of going through and painstakingly trying to restore the original movie as it was intended. So that's an option that's available to you. There's also a project called Project 4K77 that's out there. If you go look up those two, you can get a look at what this looked like before it came to the theaters. Now, the one thing you might be asking yourself, well, why didn't they just release this on May 25th of 2027 to make it on the exact date? Well, that weekend of May 28th is when Starfighter comes out. So they've already kind of put that one in there. So I don't know, maybe had they known that they were going to actually do a 50th anniversary and release the original cut, maybe before they had put that date in there for Starfighter, they might have just swapped the two dates. So there's a reason why they're doing it in February and not in May when it originally came out. So I don't know what else there is to say about this. If you're not excited about this, you should be. Even if Star Wars, even if you're not the biggest fan of that movie or that particular trilogy, I think everybody owes it to themselves to go at least see it in the theater as it was originally presented. There's just something special about that. So can't wait for that, but seems like we're going to be waiting for a pretty long time. All right, so next up, I wanted to talk about David Corenswet. So David Corenswet, if you're not familiar, that is Superman, the guy that plays Superman. He's a renowned fan of Star Wars. He's talked about it a lot. There's been all kinds of, if you go out there and look up, just Google David Corenswet Star Wars, and you're going to find tons and tons of videos of him doing things. This is even some stuff that he did before he had started doing Superman. He was recently on a CNN podcast or CNN show. This is called Variety and CNN Actors on Actors is the name of this show here. And I think I've got the audio here. I'm not going to play the audio, but you can see him here. He's with Jonathan Bailey, who is starring right now in Wicked for Good. And at one point during this interview, the interviewee asked him, talked to him about, hey, you've talked a lot about Star Wars, wanting to be in a Star Wars movie, and how's that going? And his answer was, they're aware. So I throw this out there, 'cause I'll give you the context here in a second. I throw this out there because, one, I really enjoyed David Corenswet as Superman. I think he's an incredible actor. I think he's got a lot of potential. He's in a role right now that's just absolutely perfect for him. But the idea that this guy would be playing some kind of a X-Wing pilot, which is what he wants to do, would be pretty amazing. And so I think now that he's, certainly established himself as Superman, and now he's had some other roles. I think he was in Twisters at one point. He's like one of the antagonists in Twisters. But apart from that, this was really obviously his big breakout role. But the fact that he's got that under his belt, it feels like they're going to find a part for him in Star Wars, in something, whether that's a TV series, a movie. I'm not sure exactly what that's going to be just yet, but I can see him coming in. I can see Lucasfilm saying, hey, let's get him into this, especially if he says they're aware. Now, if you're not familiar with the other stuff that he's done, what he's actually talked about, there is a cool video out there where he's listening to the soundtrack for A New Hope, and he's reciting the lines and he's doing all the sound effects right when the Death Star is about to blow up. I mean, he does the whole powering down or the powering up of the lasers, the levers going down. You may fire when ready. He does the whole bit, beginning to end, explosion, and you can hear it all playing. He's doing this while he's driving in his car. I'm not sure who was filming it, but it was really remarkable when that came out. And this is prior to him being Superman. Then there's another video out there where he's out on the DC press junket for Superman. There's one video of him making all of his R2-D2 noises. He can do R2-D2 getting hit and, making that squealing noise when he gets hit during the trench run. He does a couple of other sounds as well. At one point during filming of Superman, they were playing a shot game that every time Corenswet brought up Star Wars, somebody would take a shot kind of thing. And so that tells you how much he talks about it and references Star Wars. He's got a really cool take there's a show out there called Brittany Broski's something. I didn't know who she was outside of the meme girl, but I didn't realize she had her own YouTube channel. But she has celebrities come on to her show, and he came out on there and he was talking about Qui-Gon. Had Qui-Gon been Anakin's master, things would have gone differently for him. So to me, that says a lot about what he knows, right? That's I know it probably doesn't seem super deep, but to the casual fans, they don't normally think about that kind of thing. So he's got at least one level above in terms of his knowledge and how he thinks about Star Wars, to know that had Qui-Gon been his master, things would have probably gone different for him. He likes the machete order. So he likes watching episodes 4 and 5, then pausing, going to 1, 2, 3, and then wrapping up on 6, because it's almost kind of like 1, 2, and 3 are kind of a flashback before we get to Return of the Jedi. It preserves the reveal of Leia and Luke, and then certainly the finality, or the concrete evidence that Luke is indeed, Anakin, Darth Vader's son. So it's really cool that he thinks about that. Really, really neat. There was actually one other video too where he was on a lie detector test with the guy that plays Lex Luthor, and he's been Beast in X-Men, and I forget his name right now. But he was doing like a lie detector test, and they were asking each other questions, and he asked them whether or not he would want to play Superman if he had only one choice, to play Superman in the next movie again, or play a Jedi Knight. And his answer was, he said, honestly, it's Jedi Knight. He said, my dream role would be to play an X-Wing pilot. A Jedi was sort of my childhood dream, but now since I'm into aviation, like sitting in an X-Wing cockpit would be really cool. So this is what he wants to do. And like all of us, like I think we talked about this when we did the show, The Science of Star Wars, we've all probably been through that phase of wanted to be a Jedi. And as he grew older, he suddenly has kind of shifted now into wanting to be a X-Wing pilot. The funny thing was, he didn't, and when on the lie detector test, it came back positive or negative, I should say. He was not lying. He would take a Jedi Knight role before he would take another role in Superman. But then he clarified and said, well, the reason why that didn't come up as me lying was because I'm contractually obligated to do another Superman. So, he was going to pass it either way. So very, very cool that he's got he's a big Star Wars fan, and that he's looking to potentially play another part in Star Wars as an X-Wing pilot. And the fact that Lucasfilm is aware certainly sends good signals for me or anybody else that's a fan of him. You guys, if you don't know who he is, haven't seen him, he's just a down-to-earth kind of person. So it's really, really great to see him being successful and hopefully potentially being on Star Wars at some point. So, all right, enough gushing over David Corenswet. Let's talk about the hunt for Ben Solo. Or the search for Ben Solo. It was the hunt for Ben Solo. I say the search for Ben Solo because I've already convinced myself that it's the search for Spock. But the hunt for Ben Solo, which was the movie that was pushed out there at one point by Adam Driver and Soderbergh, the director. I talked about this on an episode not too long ago. I think it was a Patreon exclusive. But Daisy Ridley right now is filming she has a movie coming out in January called We Bury the Dead, which is a zombie movie. And as part of that interview, in her doing interviews ahead of that movie release, she was asked about this movie and whether, what she knew. And she said, I knew a piece of it. I heard rumblings. I have lots of friends who are crew, so things like this always travel. But whoa, when the story came out, no, I was like, oh my God. And it was Driver that said it, right? So and what she was saying here was kind of my reaction too. I think a lot of us were just surprised that Adam Driver was really pushing for this movie, which again, I think says a lot about how good that script was and just the potential that it had. So still has me shaking my head as to why that wasn't greenlit. But she went on to say, I do love when there is a collective of positivity. So this is her reacting to all of the campaign to get the hunt for Ben Solo out there, whether that was, again, I mentioned the TV, or not the TV ads, but like the billboards and the Times Square thing and petitions and anything and everything people are still doing, even to this day. This is December 15th. There are 2025. There are people still out there, groups out there, collective groups still pushing, trying to get Lucasfilm's attention and Disney's attention to put this movie out forth. But she's talking about the positivity that people showed and the way they corralled around.
Hey, everyone. You've been listening to a preview of this Patreon exclusive episode. If you'd like to hear the full episode, as well as a huge back catalog of other Patreon exclusive material, head on over to patreon.com/CantinaCast and sign up for the We Are All the Republic tier at just $2 a month. That'll get you all of the audio episodes, or if video is your thing, please consider the This Is the Way tier at just $5 a month. There's also 2 higher tiers in Now Part of the Tribe and Delusions of Grandeur, which gets you a shout out at the start of every show, your name in the credits at the end, and more. Thank you so much to all of our Patreon members and all of our supporters, and may the force be with you always.
You're still listening? Wow, that's amazing. Well, I'm here to give you the disclaimer. Normally we do a big, long, drawn-out disclaimer thing saying what's what and who's what and all that other stuff, but I think you guys kind of know that Lucasfilm and Disney have no affiliation with us at all, and we have none with them. We talk about Star Wars, which is their property and all that other good, fun stuff, but I think you can tell which is our stuff and which is their stuff. If you can't, well, then send a lawyer to send an email to me and I'll be glad to chat with them. Other than that, you know what's what, so that's your disclaimer.